Right. So you do Christmas episode.
Tony, you're thinking.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask. Maybe this will be a conversation that we'll have. I like that you know my thinking face already.
I
That's
mean, you saw it.
yeah, that's true. I'm literally looking at my thought bubble like.
Well,
No.
here's the thing, because after that face, often something really profound comes out. So I be paying attention.
Hey everyone, we're back again with Native LA's season finale of ING in LA, where we discuss doing all sorts of cool stuff in the city of Los Angeles. Make sure you're following and subscribed on all socials and YouTube at The Native LA and Native Collective. I'm Eve from Inglewood, and with me, as always, is my handsome co-host.
Hey y'all, I'm Tony from Compton.
And today's episode is Small Business Owning in LA. Joining us both is local lawyer, real estate investor, small business owner, entrepreneur, Miss Ashley Harris Esquire.
We have an Esquire on today. What do
Hey
you,
guys.
E? What do you know about owning a business? What do you know about owning a small business or anything business related?
You could probably fill my giant hand with what I know, which is why I'm glad Ashley is here with us today.
As am I. As am I. I have a lot of questions about small business owning and owning a business, but I got some questions to ask you first. Number one, are you from LA? You a native or you a transplant? We got to know.
Yes, I'm a native. I'm a proud LA native, born and raised. I was actually born in the Valley. Don't shoot me. Moved to LA between Aaron is not gonna like to hear that. Moved to LA in the fourth grade in the Culver City, Westchester, Ladera Heights area. Grew up in Ladera Heights.
You know, I do qualify the Back Valley as part of LA County, but we can have that discussion in a different episode. Where'd you go to high school? Where'd you go to high school out here?
I went to high school at the Notre Dame Academy.
Go Regals.
Not the one you've heard of in Sherman Oaks. The other one you haven't ever heard of. Even natives haven't heard of this little school. Very small, all-girls school in LA, in West LA on Overland and Pico. But E has heard of it.
Yes, I actually attended the school myself. Go Regals.
Really?
Regals.
Yes.
You learn something new.
Every day.
Yeah.
Are you still working in Los Angeles? Do you still work in LA?
Yes, I live and work in LA. I went to college in the Midwest, but I quickly figured out that LA was where I wanted to be. And so I was on the first thing smoking after graduation. The cold is just not for me at all. So the weather was a big driving force here. This is my home, so I have my core group of friends. I love LA. I love that here's one on the show. So I have amazing friends like her, and I think LA is such a powerful place with a bunch of possibilities and opportunities. So I love that, and I think that's what's brought me back here and has kept me here to this day.
Okay. What about your business that you have out here? You have a legal business. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got started.
Yeah, so I pretty much for as long as I can remember, I wanted to get into law. And when I think about how did I get that idea in my head and what led me to go to law school, what led me to stay in law school, because it's a challenging place to be. It's pretty unfun, honestly. So in thinking about, how I ended up, where I am and going through school and that whole process, I really attribute it to LA and growing up here, because for me, I feel like when I was growing up, I could see extreme wealth on one end, and across the street, I could see extreme poverty, like in one close vicinity.
Mhm.
And I think, that helped me pretty quickly see, like which direction I wanted to go in. And I knew that as a lawyer, I could, my floor, I could make $40 an hour just reviewing documents, basically, right? So knowing that LA is such an extremely costly place to live,
Yes.
I kind of, wanted to go in a direction of something that I could, feel like I could take care of myself. Um, so, so that's one of the reasons I wound up in law. And then also I like to read, I like to take a position and prove a point, all those kind of typical characteristics you would think of someone in the legal field. Um, and then finally, I like to help people. You know, I don't do criminal law or anything like that where I'm helping people get out of jail, but
Right.
in the business field and what I do, I help people protect themselves, right? And so that's something that's really important to me, and I really focus on helping people who haven't historically had access to legal resources. So, and not just for financial reasons, but maybe just because they don't know a lawyer or they haven't used one in the past before. Um, so yeah, that's how I wound up in the legal field. I primarily work in-house for a corporation, which I've been doing for a large part of my career. And then I also take on clients outside of that, which really started as just like friends and family and people I know and word of mouth, and it's kind of grown into something uh, a little bit bigger than that. Um, so yeah, that's how I got here.
Hmm. Very interesting. Well, we've been chatting with Ashley Harris Esquire. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back with a few more questions for our guests. Native Collective ain't just another club. Nah, it's a haven for everybody: black, brown, native, transplant, old head, and young. We just want a place for minority entrepreneurs, creatives, executives, influencers, and entertainers to come together, connect, and most of all, thrive. We start in digital for now, but we'll soon expand to a physical location where we can chill if you need, grow if you want, celebrate your roots as much as you can while amplifying your success without limitations. Because it's all support over here. Our flagship location in LA will be a statement and become the spot for social events, inspiration, creativity, collaboration, and building together. Peep, don't miss your chance to be among the foundational members of Native Collective. Join our interest list today for an exclusive opportunity to enjoy early perks and benefits of membership. Visit our website at nativecollective.com to secure your spot in this groundbreaking movement. So we're back with our guest, Ashley Harris. Before the break, you mentioned that living in LA inspired you to get into law, seeing the wage gaps and seeing how um, wealth lives alongside poverty and whatnot. Can you tell us a little bit more about what kind of law you practice and maybe the nature of your legal business?
Yeah, so I practice business law, um, some corporate law, and entertainment law. So basically, what I do is, like I said, I help my clients protect their assets. Um, I do things like set up legal entities. I do some intellectual property work and register trademarks, protecting that asset class. And then also, I do help with like day to day legal issues. So, legal advising, drafting, negotiating, reviewing contracts, and things like that. So, basically, anything in and around business, I'm your girl.
Good to know. Good to know you out there protecting the creatives too, and their IP
Yes,
and whatnot.
yes, for
Um,
sure.
so in the context of this episode, we do know that you are an employee in the legal business that you work with and for, and that you're also a business owner. That this very platform that we're speaking on is a brainchild of yours. What are your thoughts on being an employee versus being an entrepreneur? You want to speak to that?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of those things that I feel like the loudest voice in the room is always the one telling you that if you're an employee, you're not doing it right, you need to quit your job today and become an entrepreneur tomorrow. Um, so, for that reason, I like to shed a little light on um, the other perspective, right? And so, I think obviously there's advantages and disadvantages to both. Um, and I think the advantages of being an employee are just always overlooked and not spoken about enough. So, as an employee, there's several benefits, right? Most of us work for companies, large enough in scope that we know every week, every 2 weeks, our paycheck is going to be there, right? So there's a level of stability there. Also, your employer might have some resources that you can take advantage of, right? So let's say you're a realtor, you work for a broker, you can probably use some software or some, other things that your employer makes available to you that maybe you wouldn't have access to as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, and then the biggest thing is that you can learn, right? And education is so important. So, as a lawyer working in-house for large companies like I do, I get to see everything. I get to see finance, how they operate. I get to see balance sheets and cash flows and, operations.
I didn't understand that.
We're gonna edit that out.
Mm-hmm.
My TV. So I get to see operations and how it works. I get to see sales and marketing really up close in a way that I wouldn't get to if I was just starting out on my own. I get to see leadership. I
didn't understand that.
Clearly, your TV does not understand law. It does not. It does not get it.
Clearly. And you get to see management. Maybe you get to manage other employees. You can learn leadership skills or just being managed, right? You learn through being managed. You learn,
Yes.
okay, I like that leadership skill, right? I did not like that one. So when I go start my own business, I'm not going to treat my employees that way because I didn't like when they treated me that way, right?
Exactly.
So those are advantages that I think people never speak about. Now, on the flip side, as an employee, one more thing I want to highlight as an employee is that, if you get to a certain level, you can also get stock in your company, right? So therefore, you are owning the company. I mean, there's CEOs the auto workers, one of the CEOs of one of the auto companies, I think it's Ford, made $40 million last year, right? Of course, most of us are not going to get to that point, right? But just the idea of being an employee is a bad thing is not necessarily always the case. But on the flip side, you usually are capped, at your earning potential. And yes, you are working for someone else, achieving someone else's dream, all those other things that people say. And then, so now let's talk about being an entrepreneur, right? I think being an entrepreneur as the ultimate goal always makes sense, right? When we talk about trying to obtain ultimate freedom, working for yourself. As a business owner, you're always going to get a larger percentage of the pie than you would if you were just an employee. And so, entrepreneurship, like I said, as a goal, definitely makes sense. But I just don't like the idea of, like poo-pooing starting as an employee and using those benefits to get you into entrepreneurship. Like I take my paycheck that I get from my employee and I put those into my investments, right? That are hopefully ultimately going to help me be free,
I like that you highlighted the exposure that you get from being an employee, introducing you to leadership styles, introducing you to resources. I know I print so much stuff at work; it's ridiculous, but that's what it's there for. And your we've always heard the adage that your 9 to 5 should help fund your 5 to 9, and it
Hmm.
seems like you are. That you're living it. You have any legal questions you want to ask her? Because I've totally learned so much about assets and investments and whatnot. Maybe we can get into some deeper
At
questions.
the end of the day, though, you can still get your girl out of jail, right?
I could hook you up with somebody that can.
Okay, there we go. That works for me. Okay, if you
But don't
can't
get
do
any
it, then you
ideas.
know someone who can.
Yes, but don't get any ideas, anyone. Don't go plan to have a wild
Oh,
weekend.
that's already moving.
Right, birthday coming up in like 10 days. We out. We out here. Yes. But this is actually one of the first birthdays I've actually been able to celebrate in a while because we got hit with that pandemic. And I think that the pandemic is important to talk about because I feel like everyone started an LLC during COVID. When COVID first hit, it was just like everyone was starting a business. But what would you say is the best business structure for someone starting out?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. During the pandemic, people came up with all these ideas. They had nothing but time to sit around and plot and think and plan and collab, and all these different things. Listen, it was great for somebody like me, right? Ideas are good, right? Because then we can help form a business entity for the business. So for someone starting out, we think about the different type of options that are out there. So the first is a sole proprietorship. So sole proprietorship, the benefit is it's very easy to start. Hang your little shingle out there, start doing business. You may have to get like tax license here in LA, which is pretty much required no matter what. But other than that, there's not many formalities that you have to complete, right? So that's the benefit. The downside is that if something happens in your business, if you have a disgruntled customer, employee, or anything like that, they can pursue you personally. So they can pursue the company and they can pursue you, Tony, or you, E, personally. They can come after your personal car,
Oh no, I ain't
any
got
other
it.
personal assets you have. And so that's not good, right? And so I like to counsel my clients to set up some sort of legal entity that's going to give them personal liability protection. So if something happens, they cannot reach your personal assets. They can only pursue the entity itself. And so when we're talking about getting personal liability protection, now we're thinking about an LLC or a corporation typically. And so people tend to think that LLCs are the only entity that exists. So I'm happy that you mentioned this question. Like they have like LLC Twitter and
Oh
Yeah, that's all I
girl,
know.
that is a rabbit
right.
hole for
They
that
don't have
ass right there.
why don't they have a corporation Twitter? I don't know, but it's all LLCs. So LLCs are easier to form, less corporate formalities than a corporation. So they are less costly to start. Corporations, on the other hand, if you are thinking of going public ever, right? If you think that, look, I'm going to make this business grow and we're eventually going to offer an initial public offering on the market so people can buy our shares, you're looking at a corporation, right? If you want to take on
Right.
investors, you're looking at a corporation because corporations they're more investor friendly and investors are typically wanting to invest in a corporation. and not an LLC. So, but they both give you the personal liability protection, right? So those are the legal differences, the big ones that I tend to think about when I sit down with a client. The other consideration you want to think about is taxes, right? And so there are tax benefits, that may come with owning either entity, and it kind of depends on your business. So you should definitely speak with a tax advisor about that. But that's usually how you walk through the process and start to figure out, which legal entity is best for you.
Now, you mentioned going public, but I would imagine that would take some time. And I know that marketing is a huge part of business, how you're represented to the public eye. Would you say that since social media pretty much rules everything around us, would you say that it helps or hinders businesses more?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think social media, it depends what type of business you're running. If you have a consumer facing business, so if you sell products to the general public, to individuals, let's say, then I think you need to be on social media. Because the way I look at it is social media now is kind of like free advertising, right? Like back in the day, if you wanted to get some exposure, you had to, like, I don't know, write into NBC or Spectrum, hyperlocal Spectrum, and see if and see if they will put you on and feature your business, and you're kind of more so at their mercy. But nowadays, social media is out there and anybody can sign up and start their own account today, you know? And so I think it's a huge benefit. And it's hard for someone like me because I'm not naturally a social media person. That might shock you, but I'm not I'm not naturally a social media person. I do represent people in that space, big content creators, influencers and management agencies, and I've seen what God can do for them, and so I am I'm just a big proponent of social media and using it to your advantage. On the other hand, if you are in B2B and your business is selling to other businesses, social media might not be the most important factor for you, right?
Okay.
Maybe LinkedIn. I would have a LinkedIn profile. I would probably be heavy. Yeah. Yeah, bare minimum. Just get a LinkedIn profile and you'll probably be good. You might still want a profile on, like, the heavier social media sites like IG and all that, just so you look like you're in 2023, like you're with us, like what's going on kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know that you need to be like trying to post, 2 times a day or anything like that. So I definitely think it depends on the business.
And I know that you went to college at University of Michigan. Go Wolverines. How would you say LA has influenced the success of your business versus how you think it would do if you were still in Michigan?
Greatly. I think it has influenced the success of my business greatly. Especially if you think about what I do. When you think about business law, one of the advantages, I think, to starting business in LA is like what I talked about earlier. Like, this is the place of opportunities and possibilities. Like, I go out all the time and I'm meeting people who have ideas, creators, and right. And or someone who wants to connect with you and do this and bring this to life, So I think just from the standpoint of the business law I do, being here in LA, has been a big advantage for me in terms of building up my business. I don't feel like I have any shortage of clients. I mean, even just in my friend group alone, I've already helped most of them in some legal capacity, right? Would that be the case if I was in Michigan or Maine or New Hampshire? I don't know, just, some other place. Like, probably not, right? And then just entertainment. Have done some stuff in sports and entertainment. And maybe sports is more of a countrywide sort of aspect. But as far as the entertainment side, I probably would never have gotten involved with that if I hadn't been located here in LA. And I really got involved with that just because, again, the people that I know, again, friends, neighbors, people that I meet, everybody's connected to entertainment in some kind of way. So here I got to start doing entertainment law because they need help with something. So I think LA has been a big factor in my business and the business development. If you think about the downsides of starting a business in LA, there are some cost, taxes. These are the reasons that some people try, to avoid California. If you set up an entity in California, you got to straight off the bat pay $800 a year in franchise tax. Right.
So disrespectful.
It's completely disrespectful. Even if you haven't made a penny in revenue yet, right? You're gonna pay Gavin Newsom $800.
Gruesome Newsom ain't coming for my money. I'll tell you that much.
He gonna get his money. So there are those, are some disadvantages. The other thing I'll mention is that California is for the little man. So it's extremely employee friendly. It's extremely tenant friendly, right? Which is good when you're in that position, right? When you're an employee, or a tenant. But when you start thinking about becoming a business owner, people do have concerns about they have an issue with an employee or a tenant. There's a chance they're not going to be successful because a judge, it's probably going to lean towards siding with, like I said, the little guy
or the employee. Okay.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
$800. Now you mentioned you do a lot of work in the entertainment industry, and we know that the entertainment industry is going through a strike right now. Do you think that AI is coming for your clients' jobs? Can we sue AI? Like, what do we do about artificial intelligence coming for our work? I mean, I got bills. I'm just saying.
And if I could sue AI, like, I could probably make a practice out of doing that alone.
We may be onto something here.
Because I think that, that is going to become an issue. So I do a lot of work in the tech space, which is, closely aligned with the entertainment space. I do tech deals as well. And listen, technology is great. And also AI, just to everybody out there, is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. These companies are already making so much money off of it. Salesforce, NVIDIA. I mean, listen, stock prices jumping, like they are so far down the line in this space that there's no turning back now. So there is a chance, right, that artificial intelligence becomes so good that we can use that in place of real people, right? Which is unfortunate, but it's something we have to cope with. Now, I don't think it's, immediate or, tomorrow or, probably even in our lifetime or probably anyone that's watching's lifetime, right? I think it'll take some time before that happens completely. In terms of, like, I saw an article, like, is AI going to eradicate the human race? I think we're
A lot of sci-fi, a lot of science fiction movies have been, Will Smith didn't have all that smoking eye robot for nothing. Like,
right, right. So, but in all honesty, I do think we should all start to think about how we can incorporate AI into our jobs, right? Because that's one way we can protect against being replaced by it, right? So becoming proficient in it, figuring out how to utilize the tool, right? And figure out how it can make you a better service provider, consultant, real estate agent, and even lawyer. Because, whether it's making you more efficient or, creative, whatever the case may be, figuring out how to incorporate AI in what you do, I think is the best way to sort of cope with it and deal with, the scary thought that it might, take over all of our jobs.
I mean, no one's saying that they're not going to take over the human race. So jobs are first. You know what I mean? So now I got to go back and watch iRobot. Okay, be smarter than the robot. What would be some other do's and don'ts in starting a business from both an entrepreneurial and a legal standpoint?
Okay, so we'll start with the entrepreneurial standpoint. I think some do's are to ask for help. I think that one person starting, anything on their own is always going to be a challenge, right? You could do it up to a point, but then you get to the point where it's like, I need help. I cannot do, X, Y, and Z. Like, you look at these big companies, they have like 7 departments. It's like, am I really going to be the department head for everything, right? So I think asking for help, and closely in line with that is sharing, right? I think that a lot of us, we get into these situations where we're like, okay, I made it. I'm an entrepreneur. I started this company, and now I'm going to keep all of it. I'm going to do it all on my own, especially our community. And I try to, convince people that the biggest companies out there, they shared, and you want to take care of people. You want to treat people well, right? I think you're always going to get the best return on investment, and your company will be more successful when you're sharing with people. 100% of zero is zero. So why are we holding on so tight to nothing?
Right.
So I say, I say link up with people. This is a big part of my idea behind Native, which I know we'll talk about sooner than later. Is to work with people and collab and help bring your dream to light. I would say on the legal side, do's are to similarly get help, like advice and professional guidance. There might be some things you can do on your own, but when you get to the point where there's something you don't know, whether it's a tax issue, a finance issue, a legal issue, right? Don't be afraid to reach out to someone who can advise you, right? And people will work with you. Everyone is not just, scary expensive where you think you just can't necessarily afford them. Just at least try to reach out to people, because what we find is, like, when you skip that step and you just get right into the business, if something happens, you usually end up spending more money trying to fix it than you would have at the beginning if you would have just slid somebody a little cash, a couple coins, to make sure that you were protected and can start out the right way, right?
Right.
And then I feel like you can just, like, worry about your business, sleep well at night, and worry about running your business and not all the little nuances that you may not be equipped to deal with.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish this list real quick. We'll be back with more from Ashley about how to save your SPs and LLCs after this quick break.
All right, so we're back with Ashley Harris Esquire in her Mo Money green blazer. We're gonna play a little game. Things got a little bit serious in the previous segment about Gavin Newsom's $800 tax on paying the cost to be the boss and whatnot. So we're gonna play a little game with you, Ashley. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Just speak from your heart. Speak from the LA part of your soul. All right. All right.
Valley part.
Not the not the Valley part. We want to hear LA answers, but like I said, the Valley is also still part of LA. So, so just for us to get to know you a little bit outside of all of the legal and business work that you do. So, what do you like doing in LA?
I like dining out in LA. Like that's like my thing. Enos. Whether it's a hole in the wall, fine dining, everything in between. I like trying all the different spots all over the city.
80 places in particular. Where do you like dining? Give me some of those holes in the walls and some of those cloth napkin places.
So my go-to right now, when I can get there and beat traffic, is called Whole Box. It is in downtown LA. So let me clear. I should spell the name just so it's clear. Whole Box, HOLBOX. Okay, so it's downtown. It's kind of like a marketplace, kind of like a Grand Central Station type of vibe, where there's a bunch of little small restaurants. There's a Jamaican spot. I kind of want to try that too, but
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well you gotta try Whole Box. It's kind of like a hybrid. It's it's good food. I think it even is Michelin starred, but it's reasonable, affordable, quick. It's what do you call it? I guess fast casual dining kind of thing, and the food is amazing. So that's one of my favorite ones. I'm a pescatarian, so Salty Girl is another good one in West Hollywood. I tear up to seafood restaurants basically since I stopped eating chicken and beef. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm a sucker for a good fish taco too.
Mm,
What
me
do you
too.
like?
All day.
Where do you like going in LA? Where are places that you like to visit and frequent?
Um, well, this is not necessarily frequently. This is like my favorite getaway. It's a place called Terranea. Um, it's like a beach resort, but because even though I don't take advantage of the beach here, out of just I don't know, taking it for granted. But I do like going Terranea. It's in Palos Verdes. It's I don't know, water makes me feel so peaceful. So I like to be around it whenever I can. But yeah, Terranea is a beautiful place. They have about 3 restaurants on their premises. Just beautiful views right on the water. It's my fave.
So I see you like going a little bit of everywhere. Where do you hate driving in LA? What's the worst part of your commute?
Everywhere. But that's because like I just am not a huge fan of driving at all. Even if I didn't live in LA, I probably would not be a huge fan of it. But obviously the traffic escalates things. So where I live, because I'm currently in good old Valley, I honestly, even though we talked about Whole Box and there's a lot of good restaurants there that I love in downtown LA and places to go and hang out, but the commute there can be brutal because it's like downtown is like actually physically very close to me. Like mileage wise, it's not far at all. But it always takes me a long time because there's bottlenecks. There's bottlenecks on the 101 where it's always a pocket of traffic, no matter
Yeah.
what. I don't even care what time it is. So yeah, I struggle with the downtown commute.
I understand. It's not traffic is one of the things you think about when you think about LA, no matter which freeway you're on. And then when you get off the freeways, the traffic is still there. I get you.
Yeah. I will add
Where
too that I, although I love Santa Monica, there's no easy way for me to get there. I do not go there a lot. It's just when you're in the valley, you got to go backwards and go forward, and it's just
it's too much.
too much. Yes, too much.
Where are you worshiping in LA? Where's your church home?
So my church is called Illuminate Church. It's in Inglewood. Brand new church. Yes, Inglewood. Just started, I want to say like 2 months ago. It's fantastic. A young pastor, Pastor Jay, and his wife, Stacy J. And it's just a good vibe, right? They're very good, amazing people, very warm, very caring. And he has an entertainment background as well. So the music is always popping. And I'm very happy to be there with them as they're building this new church.
Hmm. Well, thank you for giving us a chance to get to know the LAU. I ask these questions for a reason. Our guests may not know, but this very platform that we're on, Native Collective, is actually your brainchild, something that you came up with and approached us to participate in. And I wanted to know a little bit more about Native Collective as your baby, as your brainchild, and what you envisioned when you came up with the most perfect name. Took the E's off, and then boom, looks good. Oh, my bad, E. My bad, E.
Just for a little razzle dazzle,
Hmm.
So yes, Native Collective. I'm so excited about it. It basically is a private membership club, and I got the idea because going back to LA, we're in LA where there's a few private membership clubs here, right? Whether we're talking about golf clubs or um, Soho House. That is the one that I was trying to become a member of, and I was just told that you won't be accepted because you're a lawyer, and I was like, what? Like it would benefit me though, like in my career, and I represent entertainers, and I like to network and meet people, and I have seen what private membership clubs have done for people. Whether it was growing up and going to golf with my dad. I had a boss that took me to the LA Country Club. I saw no people really who looked like me there, and so that got me thinking about the sort of exclusionary practices that a lot of these private membership clubs have. And so that got me thinking, okay, you don't want me in your club. I want to start my own, right? And being from here, I think that I could get the right people together and create an atmosphere that people want to be a part of and that benefits all of our members. So we are geared towards entrepreneurs, executives, creators, influencers, who want to basically take things to the next level, whether that is financially, you want to take your business to the next level. Maybe you want to start a nonprofit and help people, and you have a charitable purpose. Whatever the case is, we're all people who are trying to do something, and something motivates us. And like I said, the idea of a private membership club is I hate to use the word networking because it has a negative connotation,
Yeah.
but networking in like a safe space, right? Because when you're a member of these clubs, people like to do business with people that they know. They like to hang out with people that they know. So these are why all these benefits that certain groups have had access to for all these years, the people who have been excluded haven't really been able to take advantage of that. And so that's what I'm trying to change with Native Collective. And so we're going to start with a digital membership. We'll have like pop-up events, and virtual events, right? And just sort of create that atmosphere. And then we're going to open up a physical location in the greater Los Angeles area. Now, the name Native, we came up with that because I would have conversations with people like you guys and myself constantly about like what happened to like the old LA, you know, where it was just cool. Everywhere you went, you met people, or you saw people that you knew, you know, and it was just cool. It wasn't like a vibe where, you know, people are behaving like in the movies or the music, or like everything is on a stage, or, you know, just a more real, authentic LA vibe. And so that's what we want to create, especially when we open up the physical location in LA, is just a authentic LA vibe, and a place that people can go if you don't want to go to a club or whatever. You want to just have a cool atmosphere to chill and hang out with good people, right? And so it is still a private membership club, and there will be an exclusionary aspect of it. People have to apply, right? But my thing is I want to have good people. Like I said, good people and like-minded people, not excluding based on particular characteristics or anything like that. And then the goal is to expand to other cities, because everyone is native of somewhere, right? So really the concept will apply to other cities throughout the country.
What I'm hearing, what I'm understanding is that private membership clubs usually are known for their networking, but you are looking to build a sense of community. You're looking to have an atmosphere where people are not necessarily just united off of a certain income bracket or even a certain field, but just a certain longing for a sense of community. Do you feel that the resources that Native Collective will offer to the members reflect the what's the word I'm looking for? Does it reflect what community needs in order to be together? Some of these long-standing country clubs and other private membership clubs have something that maybe a new community wouldn't. But what resources would you say are being offered to help establish that sense of community and togetherness?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, we definitely want to develop and establish a community. And like I said, I think we start with just having good people, right? Good, like-minded people. But whereas we will have an aspect where, you know, we're doing business and people are doing deals. That's a big part of the club, right? Like you might find an investment group there. You might start an investment group with people. But on the other side of things, the community aspect, we want to focus on the person. Like it's going to be a place where we're going to have social events, right? Just hang out, chill atmosphere, right? And we're also going to like think about the person. Like one of the things we want to do is have a mental health component where we provide access and resources to mental health professionals, and we just create an atmosphere, even like having some co-working spaces where you can get away from the the office and just have an environment away from home where you can kind of get your work done, but also just get and kind of be around your people who are supportive. And so I think that's definitely an element we're trying to interject as well, in terms of getting people who will support each other, and no matter in what endeavor, right? But just people who are supportive, uplifting, you know, there for you. And yeah, and just creating that sense of community.
Do you have any sense of what membership criteria would be for individuals looking to join Native Collective?
That's a good question. And I think, you know, that might evolve as we get go along. But I think, you know, we're gonna have some conversations with people, right? We're gonna get to know them. We're gonna ask why do they want to join the club? How are they going to use their membership? I think anything that is community focused and not just individual focused on me, in terms of what you can offer to someone else, I think that will help us build the community, getting people, like that, who are outward focused, and have some sort of bigger goal or purpose. So yeah, I think getting to know the person, I think we're gonna take our time with it. I don't think it's something that we're just gonna, look at a paper and see if you check boxes, right? I think we're gonna get to know the person, and some of it will be a vibe. Some of it will be a vibe. We also want to make sure you're not gonna. I'm sorry, bring the riffraff. Like we gotta keep it. We gotta keep it. you know, we got to keep it cool, calm, and collected, especially because we'll probably have members that, maybe are known, and need to maintain a level of discretion. So we need to just have people that can sort of handle that aspect as well.
Of course.
And you know what I mean, are just ultimately cool people who have some sort of ambition in life, some sort of goal that we could help each other with. And people that want to build together, I think that'll be a big thing, right? Like build something. Like I said, we want to start a nonprofit that is going to help the homelessness problem. Like, what? Are you kidding me? How can I be involved? I want you in my club because I want to help. You know what I mean? So I think those kind of things are things that would be helpful in terms of.
And I guess I want to round out by asking, you mentioned that you envision Native Collective being something that's present in other cities at some point. Why LA? Why is LA the first place? Why do you think this is a good place to start this particular initiative? Why home? Why LA?
Yes, LA. I think LA is a great place for a few different reasons. I think for one, it's the easiest place for me to start because it is my home. But I think we have such a intersection of people, cultures, careers. There's so much diversity in so many different areas here that I think when you talk about a community and the way it could be the most beneficial, you start to think about bringing people together from, all different walks of life, right? And seeing what kind of magic can happen. I also think LA needs this because, again, when we talk about the conversations that I was having with people, frankly, one of the big things is like, where can people, like our people, Black people, where can we go and sort of gather together in a concentrated area that's, that's outside of the places that we are, the only people that populate, outside of where we grew up, Libya, Inglewood, and Compton. Where else can you in this city? Because it's not in the valley. Like, I don't have that. I don't see a lot of Black people in one place in a concert, in an area. So I think LA needs this. Atlanta has it. DC has it.
Yeah.
LA doesn't have much of it, right? So that's something else I'm trying to solve for. So I think LA is a good spot for that reason. So, and then also I think LA is still the best place for exposure. We're the second biggest media market. So just frankly, talking about businesses and starting it, I think LA is a good place for that reason as well. And people still like to come here, I think we can attract people here. I think people are interested in LA. So that's one of the reasons I think this podcast will do great and people will watch it even outside of LA because people are interested in LA, right? And what's going on here.
Man, I want to join Native Collective and get my small business off the ground. It's like Funko Pop toys, but the bodies are bigger than the heads. I'm gonna flip it,
Let's do it. We can make that pop.
Native pop.
Well, maybe my small business wouldn't be the best one that needs some support or some help. Didn't you? Ain't you a small business owner yourself?
Well, since you mention it, actually, yeah, about a year ago, I actually started a small business out of my kitchen making organic body butter, and it's kind of just me and my mixer. And so
Hmm.
I really don't have a I mean, I know where I want to go, but I really don't know the best vehicle to get there. So would you have any pointers for someone like me who's kind of like got all the pieces kind of cut out for her, but I just have no idea where to put them?
Yes, of course. First of all, Ease butters are amazing. Um, I'm a big fan. People who I have given them to or who have purchased them from her are a big fan, or from you are a big fan. So, um, yeah, I think let's go. Like, let's do this thing. First, I would start with your legal entity, right? We want to get you out of that sole proprietor land. We want to, I think for you, starting out an LLC would probably be fine, right? Just to get you going. One of the biggest things with, I think, starting a business, and I've been on both sides of this as the business owner and the client, and I could obviously especially see it as the lawyer from outside looking in. Um,
Right.
one of the biggest things is just getting started. You know, that first hump is the most difficult one to just get started and get going. So I tend to say just start somewhere. Um, when I've started businesses, I'm like, okay, people like the product. Well, I want to start selling them, so I got to protect myself. So now I start the legal entity. When I started the legal entity, I'm not gonna just let this sit. I didn't just waste my time, and money. So now I go to the next step, right? Let me start selling. So I think if you just get started in that first step, and the legal entity is a great way to go, then that'll give you the kick that you need. So we'd start up your legal entity, then we get you an EIN number, what you need. We open up a bank account, get you super legit. And once you get your bank account, you basically get paid in that bank account. You pay people in that bank account. You don't mix your personal funds with the business funds, right? You keep everything really straight. And then for your business, because you're dealing in a product people are putting on their body, I would probably see what licenses you needed, or if you need any sort of expert, I would get
Right.
the sort of compliance aspects and figure that out. And then I would just start selling like crazy. I would get on social media. I would post every day. I would give the product to people and have them post. I would, I would just use anyone for marketing that you can and that you could think of. If you know people with followings, say, hey, I'll give you this butter. Can you talk about it?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would do that. And then I would take orders. I would probably just take pre-orders if you want to be super secure and cut down your risk, which I think is what you have done.
Yeah.
Um, take pre-orders, and then once you get going and you build up a solid customer base, then you can purchase and build up an inventory and plan to sell your inventory. I would start an Amazon account. I would sell through Amazon. If you're not selling on Amazon, then you're definitely
It's
not
like, what
reaching
am
your
I
full.
doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are we doing? Literally, everybody has an Amazon shop, and you have to, because if I want some butter, I'm gonna go to Amazon. Like, that's the first place I'm gonna go. I might go do a Google search, but chances are I'm gonna get frustrated after looking at a couple of results, and I'm gonna go right to Amazon, because I don't know, whatever. We just like searching and buying products in Amazon. I don't know. We just do. So you got to get yourself an Amazon seller account. And that's another thing I think once you have your legal entity, it makes you feel more comfortable to do that and set up shop on Amazon. And then I forgot, start your own website, obviously, because I think, as an e-commerce brand, you'll need to have your own website at some point that people can purchase products from. The biggest thing for you, E, that I just say is believing that it can happen. Like, just, confidence that what you're doing is listen to people who tell you that we like it. And just believe, look at all these other people who have started businesses and they've taken off. Why not yours? Like, it definitely can, and it will. So I think just the confidence to know you can get it done. And I know that I told you that I would invest in the business. And I had my neighbor, I told her, because she's like, when is she making more butter? And it's like, I don't know, man. I told her I would invest. She said, I will too. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
I'm like, who has that, And listen, tomorrow I may not be able to. I may be into something else. So. Just saying. But yeah, that's it. And also, one last thing I would say is just, ask for help. Like you said, it's just you. You're a one-man shop. But don't be afraid to, ask for help from friends or team up with people like we talked about before. And, work with people if someone else believes in your vision, and we all have to learn how to delegate. It's a very hard thing to do and let go of control. But what's the saying? If you want to go quick, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
There you go. I like that one. Now, I know you did mention. Oh, okay. Well, let's trademark that. Hello.
No, I said
that's an African proverb. Oh. It's an African proverb.
Yeah, let me not take it away from my people.
I'm an LLC that in there.
Listen, little TM right at the end of that. I know we've talked a little bit about marketing and it's come up again. What would be some really good ways to gain more visibility? You mentioned posting online on social media every day. What other helpful tips can you give me?
Yeah, so I would say posting consistently definitely helps. And again, so I'm not going to profess to be some huge marketer, but I do represent people in this space and I have picked up, quite a few tidbits from them. And one of the things that I always hear is that putting a face to your brand, right, is helpful because people connect to people, right? More so than they do companies. People actually have a pretty negative impression of companies, corporations, just in general, right? So I think, you kind of get a leg up by putting a face to your business. And that's just posting yourself, I don't know, talking about it, shooting videos, shooting content, right? Kind of being the face for your brand. Or I guess you could use someone else as well. So people can connect with that. That seems to work well on social media. So I would say to do that. And then just like we talked about before, is just ask a friend, like, hey, will you share this on your page? Will you, post this, just to get, try to get the word out, as much as you can. And then just going back to the idea of marketing, as a whole and putting your business out there and how to grow and scale. One of the things I would definitely recommend that you do is look into these. There's like a bunch of Black flea markets, that are popping up now. Absolutely, Black Market Flea is one of them. there's several very similar ones that are just located in different places with different brands, and that's not the people who are putting them together like are just fantastic. And I mean, they've created something that's helpful to Black business owners,
Yes.
useful to the people here in LA, to the residents, those of us that live here. But I would definitely encourage you to go there, because people who go to those things, they want to spend money, right? Um, it's like they're looking to spend their Black dollars on Black business, right?
Right.
So I went with a friend to a flea market for the first time, and he spent like $900. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I think if you go there, you could really get some motivated people who are ready to buy your product. And at the very least, they learn about it, right? Because otherwise, people don't know you exist, right? So it's a good way to get yourself out there.
Exactly. Well, before I wrap it up, how many jars would you like to order?
I'll take at least 3.
Yes,
At least
I got
3.
you.
Yes. I can't wait. Get back in the lab.
Well, Ashley, we want to thank you for bringing your Mo Money jacket on and imparting all of this wisdom on us today. Definitely learned a lot of good tidbits. Definitely learned a lot about business owning a small business, even the legal components. And we just want to first thank you for not only just being our boss, but being our guest. And this has been the last episode of this season of ING in LA. I'm your co-host, Tony from Compton.
And I am your co-host, E from Inglewood.
And we'll be seeing y'all next season with season 2.
Peace. Hey everyone, we're back again with our season finale of Native LA's ING in LA, where we discuss all sorts of cool stuff. Doing! Make sure you're following and subscribed on all socials and on YouTube at The Native Collective. Nope, I messed that up. Damn. Make sure you're following and subscribed on all socials and YouTube at The Native LA and Native Collective. Shit.